All right. Welcome back.
Misfit Nation. The Misfit Nation Show.
We are a show founded by a veteran and hosted by two veterans and a military spouse. Our mission is to get people to tell their stories to the world. If you're an author, share your tips with the Misfit Nation. If you're a musician or an actor, our audience needs to know how they too can get into the business. Coaches, we love our coaches. Come on and share your tips with the Misfit Nation to help them become better versions of themselves. If you are a corporate leader or an entrepreneur, come on and show how you did it and how hard you have fought for success. If you are a veteran, first responder, or Gold Star family, we would love to have you come on and share your story with the Misfit Nation. We always have time for you. If you're feeling down, alone, or starting to see the darkness, Stop. Think about those who are around you. You are not alone. You will be missed. If you feel like your problems will be a burden to those in your inner circle or feel embarrassed, dial 988. If you are a veteran, take option 1. We need you to keep pushing forward. Don't make a permanent solution to a temporary problem. If you are a new listener, welcome to the Misfit Nation Show. Be sure to subscribe to our show on your favorite podcast app. Also on our YouTube channel at @the_Misfit Nation. Subscribe and click the bell to keep you up to date on our latest episodes and all of our news. You can also find us on Heroes Media Group and About Face Radio. Now, let's get to the show!
Woo! The Misfit Nation presents another episode of the ToosDay Crue. Things are falling. You're out of style. What do you want to do? You want to share your story. At the end of this month, we have 3 days remaining for Memorial Day shows. Do you want to share the story of a loved one lost in combat or after service? Please reach out. We are booking for Memorial Week shows right now. Woo! Them boys are back. Another week down. The show is rocking forward. The studio is swaying. The boys' hands are up in the air. They are pumped. They are having an awesome guest tonight, a friend of the show on tonight. They will keep us laughing and get you all the info you desire. Send your questions. We will get them on the air. Now reach up, pull down those shoulder straps, get out the windshield, and let's get ready to rock and roll. Get it, Cagney. Get it, Lacey. Woo!
Woo!
Woo! Steven, how are you doing this evening?
I'm good. I thought Ric Flair retired. We're
Hey.
going back to woo. Can I get a woo?
And I get a woo. Well, hey, let me tell you, brother, we got a great show lined up tonight. I hope you had a good day off today. I'm sure you did.
I did. I
I'm
got a lot accomplished today.
I'm taking the next 2 days off. I am taking Mrs. Holland, going to some appointments with her tomorrow. And then on Thursday, I am going to go on yet another adventure with a blue VW Bug on a trailer behind my pickup truck.
Right on. We got to get that thing going.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. I am looking forward. Put it this way. I better be the second person that gets a ride in that thing.
I can't wait to see it. Hopefully next month I'll get a glimpse of it.
Well, it looks beautiful. The new wheels are on it, and it looks 100% better than it did when we picked it up, just with those new wheels. But yeah, it looks great, and yeah, I want to see it humming down the road because I am excited. I'm probably just as excited as Rich and Gwen are. I really want to see this. Well, hey, we got a great show lined up this evening. We've already spoke with her, but Janine Smith, she's coming to us all the way from Wisconsin, and she is the founder of Sparrow Consulting. And what that is, that's a solopreneur business in Wisconsin, and she's got 2 decades of experience in the military sector. And what she does is she facilitates connections between the military community and the private sector workforce. And she's just got a unique perspective on it. And she's going to come on here this evening and she's going to share that. So if anybody is trying to make that transition, or, trying to bridge that gap between the military and civilian workforces, I would say this is the lady that can make it happen, or at least tell you how to make it happen.
They should get their notebooks out and pay attention.
Yeah, get your notebooks out and pay attention. Hey, ToosDay Crue, come on, let's bring her in. Janine Smith.
Hi, thanks, guys.
Hello.
Thank you so much for having me tonight. So I didn't know that you guys are rocking a blue bug somewhere behind someone's car. Really?
Yeah. It started off. We went to West Virginia to pick it up, and
it's a 67 or 69.
I think it's a 69.
Yeah.
And it was our producer Rich. It was his wife's car when she was in high school, and it's a 67. Rich just said, but anyway, it's a beautiful little car, and she wants to get it restored so she can drive it around.
Have the Porsche engine in the front?
Oh no, it's a rear engine. Yeah, it's just got the regular rear air cooled
engine. Okay.
The rear engine.
Yeah.
But we are going to make it happen.
I see Gwen by there. We can make it happen.
Yes.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Well, hey, Janine, we gave just a little bit of your bio and what you do on there. So just to get our guests, so they know a little bit more about you, just start from whenever you want to start and bring us up to right now.
All right. So I'm Janine. I started Sparrow Consulting in 2023. This is my solo business. And the reason I started it is because working in the military space, there are a lot of people who are getting out, or veterans who have a hard time making that walk across to talk with employers, right? Corporates. Yep, got you. And there are a lot of companies that say, we really want to hire everybody, but they can't make that walk across the bridge either. So I'm going to bridge that gap. But in all honesty, I have not met a service member, veteran, military spouse, military brat who will not try to jump, rappel, parachute, crawl. They want to make that connection. It's the employers sometimes that are like a couple of steps back, like maybe not even teetering, looking at the bridge yet. So I have these conversations, and I want people to realize not only the awesome talents that all of our military community has, but also how these awesome talents relate to so many positions. And another thing I like to do is talk with companies about the fact that when someone leaves the military, they're not entry. Please do not have them keep repeating themselves job after job like Groundhog Day, because you come with experience. You are beyond that early career, right? So talking to people about that. And it's on both sides. I hear it from the employers, and I also hear it from the military community, especially I'm a military spouse. You know how many times people have said, I always have to start over every time we move. You don't.
Yep. No, just continuing.
Yes, exactly. You continue. How you frame it and how you talk about it. And I think we all have those issues about how we frame it and how we talk about it, because we always seem to drop our shoulders a little bit and sink back in and go, so maybe I'm not sure I should apply for this job. So I'm here to tell you, apply. Even if you don't think you make it, apply. Write the cover letter. Reach out to the recruiter. Get on LinkedIn. Blow your own horn. Because the people that get noticed are the people who are saying, hey, just talk to me.
Yeah. And I'm sure that you cover this, but, I've heard, I'm kind of lucky. I've only ever interviewed for 2 jobs in my life. That's the job that I had right after I got out of the Army, and then the job I have now. And they say 90% of it is just getting in the door, and then, convince them that they want to hire you in a face-to-face.
Yeah. And I know most people, and I actually have a friend of mine that got out. Oh, he came through my Department of Labor employment workshop back in 2016. And we still communicate. I still help him out with stuff, and he helps me. And he says, if I can just talk with someone, I can land a job. And I think that's very true. if anyone can just get the opportunity to talk with someone, the way that you represent yourself and the way that you have that charisma, people will start to take notice. They'll see how you carry yourself. They'll understand that there's so many things that you have that you can offer, right?
Mhm.
And that's important.
Yes.
But on the other side of that coin, there is the idea that when someone sends a resume that has all the acronyms and all the job titles that don't exist in corporate sector, the people are, I don't know what this means and I cannot decipher it. So the last few times that I've been talking to employers or speaking, I'll say, you don't have to speak military. I can speak military. You don't have to speak military to hire someone from the military.
Yes.
Right? So
Regardless, military, they have a skill and they want to use that skill.
yeah.
Whether it's working on a car, whether it's writing books, whether it's anything, and that's what people understand. You know?
Yeah, and it's all about, well, let's take your husband for example. Okay, warrant officer, property book officer. That translates to the civilian world, logistics manager, basically. And so I would say if you could tailor your resume that, if you was a platoon sergeant or a person, you're a manager.
Yeah.
That's very level stuff. You're managing anywhere from, 50 to, 100 some personnel. So, and showing military people getting the job that, hey, this is how you have to word all this. Is,
Hi, Georgia. You do. You have to be able to word it and change it. And that takes a little bit too, because, and I don't know, Stephen, if you feel this way, that when you've written about your own jobs, that sometimes you don't want to give all the information because you don't want to sound too over the top. I think those people that are in private sector, we have a better handle on being able to boast, because if we don't sell ourselves, we're not going to get that next promotion. And in the military, go ahead, Stephen. Sorry.
I've gone to interviews where I've walked around a whole store talking with somebody, and they look me right in the face and say, you're overqualified for this. Why are you here? I'm here to work. I just want to do something different. And yeah, but I don't think I can afford it. Throw me a price. We'll work with something. But to tell me I'm overqualified. Tell me I'm underqualified. Tell me I'm an idiot. Now I feel better about myself. Don't tell me you're not hiring me because I'm overqualified.
I hear that a lot too. And I think I'd rather have someone tell me I'm overqualified and me be able to make the representation that I can do this job. I'm excited about doing this. I'm not interested in taking your job or taking your job. I'm really here just to fill my own cup. This is really what I want to do. Because I think if someone says to you, you're underqualified, trying to claw your way back up and say, but I can do X, Y, and Z. I just need that opportunity.
Right.
And that's just my thought processes.
Mm-hmm. Well, to get to where I am today in, retail management, I had to stand over somebody's shoulder and learn their job because they were afraid of people taking their job. So they wouldn't teach anybody what they did. That person wound up getting sick and being on leave, and somebody had to jump in for me standing like this over him, watching everything he did. That's how I got the position. That's how I started moving up.
Nice.
They wouldn't teach. So from that, I learned, you're working for me, you're working for me. You're all learning my damn job. You're doing my job. Yeah. I don't care. You want to take my job, take it, but you're going to learn everything I know. That's how I started, my mindset when I was training people and working with people.
I like that attitude. When I was a family readiness group leader, I would always tell the people that were coming in, please let me work myself out of my job. I want other people to take it. I want to work myself out of this job, because there's other people, as they're learning, they have new ways to do things, and they can bring in different life, and they can bring in different experiences. So that's a great, I like that. Yeah.
Jake, you okay?
Yeah. Give me a second here. Oh, we got a question here. It's from Juju Bean.
Hi.
What is the biggest misconception employers have about hiring veterans? Thank you, Juju Bean, for that question.
The biggest misconception, I think it's going to depend on the employer. Sometimes employers get wrapped up in the media and they think they're going to hire somebody that's going to have a lot of baggage with them. Other times people feel that they're going to hire a veteran or a military spouse and they're going to move on them. Or another misconception can be that if they're hiring somebody from the military, they're going to get bored because they've done all these different things. And then, of course, the language barriers. There's not just one misconception. There are so many. And also, those are cultural. If you live in a place that, when I say cultural, for example, Lacey lives in the Kentucky area, so he's close to a military installation. So being with that, there's not going to be quite as many misconceptions as there is where I live. Even though I have an active duty unit close to us, there's still more of the population that really doesn't work a lot with military. Did I get your question, Juju Bean?
Probably. Maybe they'll answer eventually.
Yeah, she'll answer. Or
Okay.
They said yes. Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
And one thing that I try to tell employers and something about when they're hiring the military is they've already proven, whether they've been in for 10 years, 20 years, however long they've been in. Okay. They will show up every day. Mm-hmm. They will be on time. And generally I'm not going to say everybody, but you give them a goal or, give them a job, it's going to get done. Just because they have been, for lack of a better term, institutionalized over the last X amount of years that's what they do.
Yeah. I like when I talk with service members and they tell me, I really want to work for this company. I really want to be there. Why? I don't know, but I just really like this company. I like the way their website looked and I like the way that they use their language. I'm like, great, that's perfect. You can talk about that. That's company culture. But I also have them say, and I want to be there for like 10 years. Loyalty is such a thing with military, right? You want to stay somewhere. You want to feel like you belong. You want to revive whatever morale you've had, whatever camaraderie you've had. And that's a lot more difficult in private sector. If you look at typical companies to find out how long the longevity piece is for their tenure, a lot of times people leave in less than 4 years. And that's hard when service members and military spouses are looking for jobs because they want that additional, I want that commitment. I want to stay, right?
Yes. My job before I had this one, I would have stayed there until retirement age. But they ended up, the company got sold and I didn't want to work for the company that it got sold to. And so, but yeah, I loved it. I worked with the same people all the time. We all got along, and that's what I can't picture working in an office where you don't get along with the people in the office that you're sitting in. I would dread going to, I couldn't handle that no matter how much I love my job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a terrible feeling.
It really is. And so a lot of people are, and not just military service members, but a lot of people are starting to face those crises now, right? We have a lot more, we have changes to what's going on and how employment is looked at, right? Mm-hmm. We have people that were on remote for so long and now we're going back into the workforce. And there's kind of that resentment that I'm seeing. And I'm seeing it on LinkedIn. I see it on Facebook. I see when people put some stuff in, there's a little bit of resentment that I got along with everybody online because we were able to, talk or communicate. We got our jobs done, but now in person, you're getting some of these bigger personalities. Now it's kind of like, oh, I need a little more elbow room, or I really want to get that done. And so some of that clash is going on, and people are more apt to, I think, look back and say, I can't do this and I won't do this. And they're saying, I'm done. I'm looking for something that gives me more of what I had 3 or 4 years ago. So definitely, Lacey, people want to be somewhere where they are balanced, where they feel like they're valued, where they work with a team that gives them that give and take and those communication styles that they're accustomed to.
Yes.
We all want that.
Yes. And we got another question popped in here. H to the Izzo. How can a company go from military friendly to truly military focused? Thank you for that question, H to the ISO.
Thank you. So I'm gonna tell you a little story about this. So I created this way to describe it maybe 2 or 3 years ago. So there's 4 different ways that organizations look at hiring military. They have military encouraged, military friendly, military ready, and what I call military focused. And the best way for me to describe this is I want you to think of a neighborhood. You're looking for that new house or you're moving somewhere else, and military encouraged is the neighborhood where you drive around the corner and you see one person and they just kind of wave at you like this and then watch as your car goes by. Mm-hmm. That's military encouraged. They're kind of just encouraging you, to drive through the neighborhood. Then you have military friendly. So this is that same neighborhood. You're driving through and you're starting to slow down and some guy comes over, some woman comes over, they're watering your lawn and you roll your window down and they say, "Can I help you?" You're like, "Yeah, I've come to look at this." "Oh yeah, it's just down the street, 5 or 6 houses. Good luck." That's military friendly. They're friendly to you, but they don't know which way to go next. Mm-hmm. Same neighborhood, you really like the house. Now we're going to hit what's called military ready. Driving down the neighborhood, there's the neighbor at the house as you're looking at it, and they come out and they talk to you. And they say, "Oh yeah, this is a really nice neighborhood. Do you have any kids?" So we're starting to talk a little bit more about you, right? Mm-hmm. Why do you want to live in this neighborhood? There's a great school down the road. That's military ready. We're ready to have the conversations. We want to get a little bit more to know you. We have some processes in place. We can give you some resources. We can tell you about the schools. We can tell you about, the great parks. We can tell you about, we have a block party on Halloween.
Okay.
But you want to get to military focused. So here it comes. You've now moved into the house. Boxes are coming off the truck, and 2 kids from down the street come over and they say, "Hey, we heard you have kids." You're like, "Yeah." So now you've got your kids out. Now that's the start of military focus because these kids are conversing about going to school and playing, and they're introducing each other to the neighborhood. Well, before you know it, your 2 kids have left. They're no longer helping you. And one of you walks around to find where they are. And all of a sudden you get these 2 kids, and then this kid says, "Oh, come meet my father. Come meet my mother." And then in about a half an hour, there's 4 or 5 people, because all these kids are around, who are helping you unpack your van. They're helping you. Even though the military does it, they're helping you. And before you know it, the night that you guys are all exhausted, one of your neighbors comes over and says, "You know what? I got pizza. Domino's is going to be stopping by. Don't worry about it." That is military focused. So we've gone from just the hey to I'm focused. I want to be able to help you. Let's make sure that this is a right fit. Let's make sure this is the culture you're looking for. Let's make sure that our onboarding processes are going to help you, that we have our employment assistance in place, that we have resources for you and your family, and that we have a veteran support group set up. And if we don't, let's go ahead and build that. Another thing about being along the lines of between military or veteran or military connected, ready and focused, is that you have what's called advocacy, which means as you're starting to build your pipeline, the people that work for you, the military people, are telling their friends, and they're advocating for what you've done. They're advocating for how your company works, and that helps the pipeline move forward. Does that answer your question to the
H to the ISO? I'm sure it does. They'll answer back and they'll let us know. It answered my question. I mean, it would have answered it for me, and that is, going from friendly to actually focused. She says yes. And we got a follow-up question from Juju Bean. Do you believe with government incentives, many employers say they are friendly to vets and just accept applications, but do not truly hire that many?
I'm going to give you a resounding yes, because I think a lot of people get on the websites and they find out they get X amount of dollars, and they're going to do that. But when they read throughout everything, those X amount of dollars have certain qualifications that go along with that. And when they find out some of the stuff that goes with it, they may not be as excited to hire additional veterans. But there are other programs that are in place to really help. There's veteran medallion programs. There's veteran ready medallion programs to help organizations start to actually want to bring on service members. And my business does that. I talk with companies about the importance of setting up your processes and your procedures so that you're hiring people who are there to not only do the job, but also to train others and learn other positions. And it's not just about that X amount of dollars. It's really about being able to bring someone on who's going to be not only a wonderful employee, but someone who's excited to be part of that.
Okay. Now, when you're talking to businesses about recruiting, how, what exactly is it? Do you say they don't know if they want to get veterans through the door or not? What specifically do you get them to do to actually draw veterans to them? Are there any incentives for veterans, or how do you work that?
So when I talk with employers, I work on the education piece. Workshops is one thing that I think is really important, the education piece. So some of the things that I teach employers is what the military culture looks like, right? Mm-hmm. Breaking it down so we understand a day in the life of a service member, day in the life of a military spouse. I talk about the statistics, right? I talk about the fact that most service members and military spouses will have 10 to 12 jobs over their lifetime. And even if someone's in the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine, Coast Guard, Space Force, you still have all those different additional duties, right? So Lacey, I think if you think back, you probably in the military, before you retired, you probably did 13 different jobs at any given time? Probably, right? So I talk in my workshops about understanding what the military looks like. And then I break down certain things and we talk about the skills that they have. To get people to understand what a military base does, I'll have people close their eyes and I'll say, I want you to visualize a road and you're driving. And I'll say, keep your eyes closed. And I said, so to the left, as you come down the street, you see a big building where there's a lot of people gathered in front of it. They're all waiting in line to get in. It hasn't quite opened yet. And you're going to keep going. And on the right, you're going to see a Burger King or a McDonald's. And as you make that turn, you're going to see a big, long strip mall with a dry cleaner. And they've got a place for you to get some different clothing. And there's also a small, like a Circle K, but not really, just a small little shop for you to pick up some things as your way. And there's a gas station attached to it.
And she froze.
She froze. Yes. Ruh-roh.
People who are exercising.
You froze for a second.
People will tell me, oh, I've been to that neighborhood. Are you guys there?
Yeah, you froze up there for a little bit. But yeah, you were describing, driving on the post and seeing everybody lined up at a building, which was probably the dining facility. And then the other.
Oh, I turned my camera off because I think we've got winds in Wisconsin.
Okay. All right. That works. But yeah, you were describing how you were telling people to close their eyes and this is what they would see coming onto a military base.
Right. So I just flipped the language and people always have a reaction to, oh, I've been there and I know what you're talking about. Well, the strip mall I'm talking about, of course, is the shop at the place where you go for clothing and sales, right? The gas station's attached. And a couple other little things. So I really like the idea about doing workshops because presenting people with information helps them move forward. And I also like workshops for employers because it helps them, we identify the goals that they want to get done. Before you can walk, you have to literally crawl, right? So you just can't go into hiring veterans. You have to understand the mindset. You also have to change your messaging. You have to decide how you want to present yourself as part of the military. And that means changing your language in your job postings. And you're going to use that more skill-based language. Looking for leaders who have 4 or 5 years of experience with this, right? In a logistics background or in supply chain. And we move our language to make it more inclusive to everyone, but it also allows for service members and spouses to say, I do that. So that's what I do for organizations. You really can't just go to a pipeline if you're not sure about who you want to bring in. Does that make sense, gentlemen?
Yes, it
That
does.
makes a lot of sense.
Yes, it
And
does.
I don't know how it is by you, but here in New Jersey, working retail is hard to find people that want to work. So I can't see somebody coming in and saying, I'm next month and me saying, no, I'm not hiring you. I'm going to interview your ass and I'm going to, get you into the damn shop. Retail needs people that are willing to work. We're not finding that a lot lately. Not finding a lot of people that actually want to work for a living. They just want to come in, do 8 hours, make money. They don't want to work. And I believe military workers that did this for years, that got up a certain time, did this, are the ones that are going to be the ones that are coming in and being in the workforce.
They really need that structure. That's really important when you leave the military. You've been in an structured environment, right? And that sits with you for a very long time. And that structure, even if it's 35 minutes in different areas, is important to you. And sometimes you can't self-regulate. So I also see the opposite side of that, where people who are retiring or getting out after 12 or 15 years, and they want to hop back into something, but they're not giving themselves that time to reset. You need to be able to just breathe and say, oh my God, I want to quit something. Oh my God, I need to get acquainted with your house. Open all your cabinets, find out where food is, right? Get back acquainted with your family. I know that sounds silly, but think about it. You've not spent a huge amount of time in your house. I mean, I moved in 2 different countries, 2 different times when my husband was deployed. So he left when I was in one house and came back and I'd moved somewhere else, right? So get acquainted with your life and start to figure out who that person is. But at the same time, if you want to interview, have interviews, start talking to people, but network so you have an idea what you're looking for. And that's pretty crucial and critical. Looking at who you are and then deciding how you want to move forward. And there's an interesting statistic between 2013 and 2015. I don't know if it was Evite or if it was one of the recruit areas that put out that a service member will have at least 3 jobs before they've been out for a year. So if anybody in this chat has been a service member or is a service member, can you attest that you've had at least 3 jobs in your first year getting out? Or if you know someone who has, I'd kind of be interested to see what that looks like.
Yes, it would.
And what you were just talking about, we got another question. Mark wants to know, what advice do you have for service members within 6 months of the transition? Thank you, Mark.
So Mark.
And I think that goes to what you were just talking about.
Are you counting your 6 months as transition leave, or is it 6 months and then you have your transition leave? Because we're talking about 2 very different numbers here. So if you're straight out 6 months and then you have the transition leave on back, then that gives you 9 months. Pre-leave, perfect. So network, and network with everybody. When you start to network, talk with people about things that you want to do. Do what's called informational interviews. And when you're doing an informational interview, if you haven't gone through any of your programs, there's a website that I love. It's called careeronestop.org. So that's career, CAREER, onestop.org. And if you type in the search business finder and you open that up, you can open up and look in your zip code, and you can find, or you can put a business in, and you can find businesses that list the person's name and phone number for informational interviews. So if you want to go somewhere specifically, I would start looking there and start talking with people. Word of mouth is really important, right? And people want to talk with you. There you go. Perfect. The next thing I would do at 6 months, make sure you're going to the doctor and practice taking vacation. Even if you just take off for 4 days. I'm serious, because people don't know how to vacation.
Oh,
Practice.
no, I get it. I totally get it. Yes.
Yeah, take that time. I mean, drop a 4-day pass and say, I'm not going to be available. Or take a day off in the middle of the week and do something you want. Go to lunch with your wife or your kids or your best friend. Go golfing. Go to a conference. Go to a networking event. Go to the local community college and find out classes you can take.
Okay, or just take a day to breathe.
Yeah. Yeah. And also during that 6 months, include your family, right? Include your family. Because they are a big part of this. Not only are you transitioning, but your spouse and your kids are transitioning. And it's gonna hit them all differently. There's gonna be a lot of loss. There's gonna be a lot of grief. There's gonna be a lot of change. So make sure you're all talking about this. And also while you're in the job search, because you've got a 90-day window, work 40 hours. Have breaks. Make sure you've got a lunch. Hold yourself to a schedule. Stop at a certain time. And if you work in your office, close the door, turn out the lights, turn off your computer, and make it a work day. And that helps you start to process and let things go. And find a hobby that you love. Woodworking, gardening, going to the range once a week. Find a hobby that you're going to be consistent with, because that's a great way for you to de-stress. Oh, I love that. 44% of veterans leave there in the first year. By their end of their second year. Yep. That's a big amount of people.
Yes, it is. And we got another question that popped in here, shifting off the veteran. This is from Create Great. How can military spouses market their diverse skill sets to employers? Thank you for the question, Create Great.
All right, so let's walk this out and unpack this. So I'm a military spouse. My husband traversed the universe and whatever, and I was home. Everything that you did, you put down. I had 3 girls. We had birthday parties. So when it came to my master resume and I wrote this out, if I did a birthday party, I wrote down planning, invitations. I had to find out where the venue was. So I put it under special events. And I did that for every birthday party. If I coached a sport, I talked about leadership. I talked about the ability to manage small teams. And yes, coaching is small teams. You have more than one kid, those are small teams. Kids come to your house, you are managing small teams. Talk about that. Program management, appointment setting, project management. Going to the doctor is an event, right?
Yes.
Moving is a logistical nightmare. Talk about that. Did you do bins for this keeps, this stays, this goes, organizational skills? Do you have charts that you've written down? It's important for you to start thinking about what you want and what you like, and have that list of I really like doing this and I don't like doing that. Also, as a military spouse, take advantage of free workshops, free classes that you can take through USO transitions. You can also go to Act Now Education, and also start talking yourself up. Use the word I. This is what I did. Find out what your superpowers are and always talk about them. So if you've got the gift of gab, sell it. If you are someone who they go to because they know you're a community connector, sell it. If you are the person that they call on the phone to always show up at the meetings and take notes, sell it. How'd I do?
That sounds great.
That worked for me.
Because and if you was a coach of little kids and having to deal with you could have probably also got a good job herding cats somewhere.
Oh, yes. But you can also talk about working with parents, working with, you can call them stakeholders. So let's talk about that change of language. You work with parents, you can call them stakeholders, right? You can talk about the programs you designed, and you had a structured sense, and you did a program and it lasted for 6 weeks and you managed it. And program management is just that. Or project management. It has a specific time, you meet benchmarks, and it ends. And you can talk about that in sports, or you can talk about that in a move, right? So
right. And if you was a kids coach and dealing with parents, you probably have a pretty good knack for dealing with adversity as well.
There you go. And all your strong communication skills. And if you've lived overseas, you've got that third culture mindset, right? Mm-hmm. So you've got diplomacy skills. You have an ability to, maybe you've learned another language. Maybe you understand the possibilities of slowing down your conversation, or providing active listening. So you're listening to someone before you speak. So all of these things are really important. My email and stuff will be in here if you want to send me an email. I'll be more than happy to talk with anybody more about this stuff. I know we're getting close to the top of the hour, so thank you, John. Yeah, we'll go. Yeah, I mean,
we still got plenty of time.
I have a cup of tea. I can be here all night.
All right. Hey,
So
we do have another
The
question.
next resume I need to write, seeing I deal with Jake and he's a year older than me, can I say work with the elderly?
You can.
Oh, okay. Works well with the elderly. So I can put that on my resume.
But I think you want to call them senior citizens or top leadership. It depends on who you're talking to, right?
I'm your top leadership, buddy. All right. Hey, we got another question from Melanie Crab Cakes and Football. And
whoops.
Whoa, hey, there we go.
Sorry.
My husband was pushed away from multiple prospective jobs, many for salary, when the boss or HR never even asked him that question. Is this a common occurrence?
It is. So I'm going to jump the gun here. It sounds like your husband's been in for many years, lots of experience, probably some education, right? Maybe.
Yeah.
We're just going to assume this. So a lot of times what happens is that service members and military spouses and everybody else in the world gets a little comfortable sometimes in the interview process, 20 years in a BA, and they either over talk what they're presenting or they're applying for jobs that are too beneath them. So they're going to not push on, right? So if they're, so by the time they're sitting in the interview, someone realizes, top leadership happens to be the youngest. Yes, so you're sitting in an interview with someone and they happen to realize that what you're saying, someone already has that job, or, oh my gosh, this person comes with a lot of different experiences, because the resume doesn't resonate with the voice the person actually has. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So if we're talking about someone putting down their years of experience and they're giving a different example when they're talking, and I actually have an example. So there was a gentleman I helped a couple of years ago in Dallas. I did an event in Dallas, and he was having a hard time getting to the salary piece with the jobs he was applying for. So we're talking on the phone. I'm walking in my backyard. I got back home and I'm talking to him on the phone, and I said, "Tell me about these interviews. What are they looking for? What are you interviewing for?" He says, "Well, I'm interviewing for management positions." I said, "Okay, so how are the interview questions going?" He says, "Well, the interview questions ask about my management style." I said, "Great." And I said, "What do you tell them?" He said, "Well, I tell them about my last job." And I said, "Your last job wasn't a manager. Your last job was a superintendent. Why are you talking about that job?" He says, "Oh," I said, "so that's already overqualifying you. If you're applying for the management job, we're going to talk about management. As soon as you start talking about what you've done as a superintendent, that already gets people going, oh, wait, that's a different job. That's a superintendent job. He's applying for this," which is some of those misconceptions that you're going to leave after 3 months, or you're only going to be there a short time, or you're going to be vying for other people's jobs. So intent is really important. And also looking up that salary, going to salary.com and finding out what the salary is before you apply for the job, and knowing what your salary boundaries are.
Okay.
Right? Mm-hmm. Also, if you're looking for a government job, you go to salaries.gov, and it'll give you examples of where to find salaries, as well as how much people make in the city or state you're looking for.
All right. Yeah, that works.
I have a lot of websites in my head. So.
That's good to know.
And Melanie said that I guess her husband had 20 years and a BA. So
Melanie, he might be shooting a little low. Maybe he's just trying to find something. Have him start to fine tune a few things. You can send me an email. You can also find me on LinkedIn, and I'll be happy to chat with you all about it.
All right. Well, thank you for that.
I want to thank everybody that's on LinkedIn and X right now watching us. You don't get to see all of the things you're saying. So I'm just happy that you're all here. And if you have questions, send them in. If you want to talk to us, you can email us or come on over to YouTube. I'm in there all the time. And you can ask questions and we can chat there also.
So
Are you guys on Facebook?
We're live on Facebook.
Yeah,
we're live on X
Facebook
right now.
Live on
and
Facebook,
YouTube,
X, YouTube,
LinkedIn,
LinkedIn.
but it's always going to be on YouTube, Twitch.
Yeah, it'll be on it now. Okay, and around 21 to 24% for a while. Some reports indicate that underemployment, where individuals work part-time or at a lower level than their qualification, affects a larger percentage, around 31.6. So
It does.
and I think, some of that maybe a little bit talking from experience here, but basically just getting a job to pay the bills until, and that's what I did with my first job. I was getting a job to, this is in reference to spouses. Okay, gotcha. But as far as quitting a job, within the first year of employment, my first job was just basically to pay the bills until I could find a contracting job. So,
And that happens a lot. But you're right. Underemployment it hits everybody, because a service member and a military spouse and a dependent will take a job just to pay the bills without thinking about the ramifications, because you get stuck.
yes.
Right?
Yes.
And if you get stuck, you're kind of afraid to apply for something because you don't want that to impact if you don't get that other job. So a lot of times people will stay underemployed for a significant amount of time, which could be up to a year, until something jolts them and says, oh my gosh, what am I doing? Continuously network. So here's something that I tell all of my service members. Even if you have a job and you're not starting for 90 days, keep interviewing.
Mm-hmm.
Because that job can fall through. That contract can be lost. They can lose the money. Someone new can come in and decide that position is no longer going to be there. Keep interviewing. Because I will tell you from experience in the HR realm, that is your job. However, if something changes in our company, we are not going to have a problem sending you an email or a letter that says, we're very sorry to let you know, but this position no longer exists. We hope that in the future, if we have it, we would welcome you to apply again, right?
Mm-hmm.
So keep applying. If you find something better, you've got 60 days, 90 days, that's fantastic. Then you can be the one writing the note and you're not burning a bridge. Just let them know, honestly. Dear Janine, thank you so much for the awesome opportunity. I have found a position that better aligns with my salary as well as my skills and abilities. I appreciate you taking the time. I appreciate the job offer. I hope in the future, if there's an opening, that I'd be able to apply for something again. I really do like your company culture and wish you the best as you fill this great role. We're not burning the bridges. We're being we're doing like Phoebe on Friends. We're breaking up with them with a hug, right?
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yes.
And one thing I just want to point out, the retail aspect of the hiring is not just, you're talking businesses, I mean, bigger businesses maybe, but retail, nobody gets hired full time. You're getting hired part time. Go in, prove yourself, get the hours, build yourself up to full time. Don't say, "Oh, I don't want that. It's only part time." Get your foot in the door, get the job done, and they'll move you up and they'll give you more hours, and you will become full time. Because I've noticed that here, a lot of retails do not hire full time; they hire part time, and you prove yourself, and you get the hours, and you get moved up.
Right. Also, when you're thinking about military spouses, 22% is our unemployment rate. That's another reason I went into business. That's a huge 22% is unemployed. Mm-hmm. And it is. We do, as the banner says, do hard things. We do hard things. We have no problems being resilient. We have no problems showing up. We show up for everybody. If there's a hurricane going on and you need us, we're going to be there. Right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it is. We have that same love, that same push, that same desire when we are working. However, we have to be able to talk about that and really sell it. So we're going to say things like, I really like to work for your company, or I can do that. And I'll be okay working X amount of hours. And then you're going to get a little on the fed up side. So think about what's going to be in your best interest and how you want to move that needle. Underemployment is going to wreak havoc on you, because as you start to apply for new roles, they're going to go back and look and say, so why did you work here part-time for 7 months if you've been looking for a full-time job? And they will ask you that. And they'll also ask you about, why are you applying for this job now? What makes you think that you can have this job? And then you stretch yourself up and you say, this is why I can have this job. Over the past 7 months that I've worked this part-time job, I've also been taking a couple of classes on Coursera and learning an entirely different business. Not only can I do project management in my sleep, but I can also do project management for your company. I'm able to talk with stakeholders, communicate directly, and always keep documentation and the stakeholders in the loop through email and direct communication. I am going to be your next project manager because I've been honing my skills to come for this position. Talk it, walk it. It's really important. It takes some time. Stand in front of the mirror and say, hey, I've got this. This is me, right? It takes a while. Trust me, ladies and gentlemen. When you come into your own, you're going to feel so much better about it, right? It takes a little while. Practice. And don't worry about those jobs that you've had in the past. Just practice.
And I want to throw up one more question. At Samantha, what's one thing you wish every HR department understood about the military community?
Military community, they're
Thank you.
people. Samantha, they're people.
That's it.
Everybody's a person. You're not a military person. You're not a military. You're a person. And I wish everybody would say, I'm hiring a person who has these skills. I'm looking for a person that has these skills. Because being in the military, it's just a job title. And instead of saying I'm in the military or I'm in the Army, say, oh, I was this. I was a project manager. Or most of my job, I did logistics. And that is where it starts. And talking to HR people about who you are as a job title for what makes sense to them is a good way to start. Then you can tell them all those great stories about being in the military, but really hold tight to, if you were in Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine, tell me about that. Because I will tell you from my friends who are in private sector, if you tell me that you were in the Navy, I am going to ask you what ship you were on. And if you tell me you're in the Air Force, I'm going to ask you if you fly. I'm also going to ask you if you met anybody from Top Gun. And if you're in the Army, I'm going to go back to old movies like Stripes and talk about Private Benjamin and all those different things that we remember as far as our generation. You want to take out, you don't want us remembering some of those things, right? Because we get the wrong idea.
Well, you
But
see,
the nice thing
yeah,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
With me working retail over 30 years, the first thing I tell employees when they come in and we're doing interviews, the first thing I look for in a person, and today it's different because a lot of people fill out online, but you come in to fill out an application if you bring your own pen. If you don't bring your own pen, you're not ready to work. And that's a major turnoff to me. And that's one of the first things I've always paid attention to. How they show up when they come for an interview. You know, are you ready to have this interview? You know, or are you walking in with your double latte, blah blah, and you know, like you're gonna hang out? No, you come in and you're ready to be professional and talk about a job. You know, that's what they need to do.
The authenticity right from the very beginning. Who are you? And so as a military spouse, the one thing that always drives me crazy is the word military in front of it. And because I don't think I was ever married to the military, I was actually married. I'm actually still married to a person, right? He happens to be my husband. So when people say, oh, you're a military spouse, what does your husband do? What? So think about who you are. So military spouse is a little bit lower on my list. I have other things. So I'm a business owner. I'm a woman. I'm a mom. I am a spouse. I am a gardener. I'm a scientist. I love bats, sharks, monkeys. I do American Sign Language. I have all these different facades about me. I have a very wicked, direct way about me, as well as a sarcastic sense of humor. So I want to make sure that I can describe myself, right? On the other side, I'm a hard worker, and I'm going to push people to the limits, and I'm going to disrupt things, and I'm going to ask questions like a 2-year-old. Why are we doing that? And why is that important for you? And I'll ask people when they show me their resume, why do I care about this line here? Why do I care? Well, because I can do that, but you're not telling me how you do it. You didn't tell me when you did it. What's the percentage of this? Because if you're fixing problems for me, I want to know what your past is bringing to my future. So I need it quantified. So I'm very direct, and I want to know, why is that important to me? Why do I care? So when you're interviewing, think about that. Why do they care? And why do you care about the questions? And why do you care about this company? And why are you going to make the best employee they're looking for?
All right. Can you share a success story where a company truly transformed into a military-focused organization under your guidance? And
oh, yes, I can.
Thank you for that question.
Come at me, bro.
Come at me, bro.
Like that. Come at me.
Okay, this one's going to have to be quick, Janine.
All right, got it. So make sure you hit the buzzer on me, okay, Lacey?
All right.
So I started working with a company that I met actually at a job fair in 2013. And I started working with them a little bit at a time to go. That was their very first job fair, and they wanted to start hiring from military. And they knew nothing, not a thing. They had a couple of people that had worked for them in the military, but they really didn't have a program. So I started talking with their HR manager, and she and I started to put together what they're looking for. We started changing messaging. Between 2013 and 2014, I helped them hire 7 service members, transitioning service members, and
Nice.
they put them in Atlanta, North Carolina, New York, Boston, New Jersey, Philly, and somewhere else in Pennsylvania. And they had Army, Air Force, and Marines. Oh, and Connecticut as well, right? And then when they did this, actually 2 of their service members started talking about a veteran support group, and they brought that to her. I was able to help them start putting things together, including a skill bridge program. Did it take 2 years? It took 6 years. 6 years to build out this program, because people change. You get new hire. You have one person who's a hiring manager over 29 states says they want to do this, but people come, people go. Leadership changes. You go up and down with money. How you're going to focus things on what you're doing. But by that 6 years, they were doing advocacy. They also had 3 service members who were now doing recruiting for them, veteran recruiting.
Nice.
I still have a couple of them on my phone. So if I have someone that's interested, I will go ahead and just call them on the phone and say, hey, I've got someone for you. Here's my phone, and I'll give it to them to talk. And they're like, really? Yeah, you're going to talk directly to them. I don't need to know about the conversation. I'll help you with the resume. But, go ahead and talk with them directly. It takes a little bit of time. It doesn't happen overnight. All right.
All right. All right. That was our last question. I got one more question for you.
Okay.
What are 3 things that are non-negotiable that Janine has to do every day to make her day complete?
All right. So I have to have a cup of ginger and lemon tea with honey, because I need the ginger and the lemon to keep me going with lemon peel. I need to get out in nature. 100%. I've got to be out in nature. And the third thing I have to do is I have to watch Bones on repeat, or a natural history show on animals. Right now I'm watching things on orcas and sharks to keep my science heart happy.
All right. Big fan of Bones, by the way.
Yes.
Janine, where did an hour go?
I don't know.
It went by quick.
It did. It went by quick. Really enjoyed
We did
it.
a lot of talking.
A lot of great
learning.
information out there. A lot of good questions. And, you can reach out to Janine on LinkedIn. It's Sparrow Consulting. And if you've got any questions, please feel free to reach out, and she will get those questions and get you helped out. ToosDay Crue, Misfit Nation, glad that you were here tonight. Remember, if you're feeling the darkness, 988, take option 1. If you don't get what you're looking for there, reach out to us. My email is jake@themisfitnation.com, Steven@themisfitnation.com. We'll send you a phone number. We'll listen to you. Misfit Nation, we love you.
Night. Everybody, thank you. Have a great night. Love you all.
Love y'all.
Good night, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for checking us out and being a part of the Misfit Nation show. Don't forget to visit our website at themisfitnation.com. That's themisfitnation.com. Check out all our past episodes and get some of the great Misfit Nation gear for you and your family. As always, be humble, stay hungry, and keep hustling because we are
Misfit Nation. Misfit Nation.